I mean, if I say something like that, even if it shocks you, and it should be shocking because you know that's police state, that's not freedom, that's an invasion of privacy. But instead of going, man, I better check this out and find out if it's true, it's so shocking that you just decide to say that guy must be just putting this out there to get people's attention. Let me explain something to you. If I got up here on the radio and I said that Bayer Pharmaceutical, for close to a decade, conservatively, knew that over 1 million ampules of their blood-clotting drug, Factor VIII, was filled with HIV and 3 strains of hepatitis and infected hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people worldwide, if I got up here and said that and it wasn't true, Bayer Pharmaceutical would sue me off the face of the earth. If I got up here on the radio and I said Baxter Pharmaceutical last year, this was in Bloomberg and Associated Press, but even if I give them sources, they don't care. They don't believe it. Mixed weaponized bird flu and shipped it to 14 different countries. And thank God a lab tech in Czechoslovakia tested it on ferrets. And if the ferrets get sick, it means they didn't properly kill the virus if it's a regular flu shot. But the ferrets all died. And so they did tests and said, my God, this has got super flu in it. And they just pulled up a mainstream MSNBC article. Scarborough revisits Bayer marketing HIV, AIDS-infected blood clotting substances. But see, my crew just did that. I didn't tell them to do that. What, it took you a minute to do that? I mean, I'm not making any of this up. You can get mad at me and say, Alex, I don't think you should get upset about it. But you can't just sit there and say, I'm making this up. And I get those emails every day. I see it all over the message boards. People send me links saying I'm a liar about all of this when I'm not lying about any of it. If I say cold weather kills scores in India, I have the New Delhi News here in front of me. Here it is. Talking about global warming being a fraud. If I say Dublin Airport suspends flights in cold weather, or that D.C. has record cold, record snow, I mean, it's a fact. I mean, if I say that major universities that the UN uses to get their data to show that the earth is warming and that it's man-made have been caught engaged in fraud and that they know it's not man-made, we have Ben Santer's own internal UN documents. We have the ClimateGate documents. When I got those FBI Homeland Security documents saying veterans, gun owners, conservatives are the real enemy of Homeland Security, people didn't believe it for 2 days. They thought I made it up. Now it's admitted it was real. I remember 14 years ago reading trade publications, corporate publications, how the federal government and international agreements was pushing for a system to track cars and trucks by the mile, non-commercial vehicles as well, and to tax you. And I would get on the air and I would cover it, and I would get called a conspiracy theorist because people like to rationalize. They don't like to face a threat. They don't like to hear that they need to be politically involved or stand up for themselves. They just want to go through life like everything's a party and go do their job and then go to the bar or go to the football game. You can't do that. And now our entire Bill of Rights and Constitution is routinely ignored by federal agencies. The federal government now admits that it spies on the American people in non-terror-related cases without warrants. The Patriot Act is used thousands and thousands of times a year at every state level in non-terror-related cases. The government is openly militarizing and arming against the people. The federal government is completely controlled by offshore banks that are robbing the country blind. They get tens of trillions of dollars through the banking bailout, not $700 billion. And then tell the Congress they won't let them know where the money went or how it was spent. Both the private Federal Reserve head and the head of the Treasury, Geithner, say we're not going to tell you. And their predecessors, like Henry Paulson, did the exact same thing. And so it goes on and on and on. And we look at the cashless society control grid. We look at Patriot Act compliance, how every financial transaction is tracked and controlled. Everything is chronicled. This is Big Brother. And it isn't a loving Big Brother. It isn't a government that cares about you or wants to help you. It is a government that in its own white papers admits that it is simply trying to suppress the people from gaining control of their government again. We have a tyranny in place. And anyone with a lick of sense or who pays attention knows that. But here's just one article of thousands concerning Big Brother. Microsoft seeks patent for office spy software. Microsoft is developing Big Brother-style software capable of remotely monitoring a worker's productivity, physical well-being, and competence. The Times has seen a patent application filed with the company for a computer system that links workers to their computers via wireless sensors that measure their metabolic system. The system would allow managers to monitor employees' performance by measuring their heart rate, body temperature, movement, facial expression, blood pressure. Unions said they fear that employees could be dismissed on the basis of a computer's assessment of their psychological state. Technology allowing constant monitoring of workers was previously limited to pilots, firefighters, and NASA astronauts. This is believed to be the first time a company has proposed developing such software for workplaces. And this patent was brought forward in 2008, by the way. And then you add that in with the fact that police aren't even needed anymore other than enforcing fines and fees. For more than a decade, the entire United States, every major highway and every major juncture through the Department of Transportation and the Pentagon has had license plate reading cameras installed. You'll notice on many toll roads, take Central Texas and the Napa Superhighway Trans-Texas Corridor. Most of the toll roads don't even have systems where you can pay with cash or pay with a transponder. It says pay by mail, and the system simply tracks your license plate and point A to point B, where you got on, where you got off the toll road, and they send you a bill. The issue is the federal government and other governments of the world, they're all unified in their deployment of these systems. It's centralized, are now in the process of announcing and conditioning the public to accept by-the-mile taxation, but also by-the-mile fines and fees. As you drive down the road, let's say the speed limit is 60 miles an hour, and then you go through a 40 mile an hour, and then it goes up to 70. According to those markers and the cameras, you will be given tickets if your average speed goes above the average speed that you are allowed to drive for that distance. So everything has a double-edged sword. GPS is a great tool, but it is also being used to control you. License plate scanning systems could be a great tool, but from day one it's being used to control you. And some will say, well, if you have nothing to hide, why then should you worry about it? Well, the point is, throughout history, anytime you let the balance of power between the people and the government get out of whack, and it's always gravitating towards the government getting more power, it's always sliding down into that. That's the problem that always arises. Governments are the most abusive, most destructive powers in human history. Government in the 20th century conservatively killed 200 million innocent people, cold-bloodedly, just to get them out of their way. Corrupt, wicked, scheming tyrants tend to get in control of government systems. But even if you built this technological tracking system and angels were running our government, which they're not, within time, you would get a corrupt group or a group of tyrants, plutocrats, in control, and they would use it as a tool of domination. Our children in the public schools wear ID badges. There's fences around many of the schools. Parents have to be thumb scanned to get into the school to get their children. The state is taking over our children. The children are trained to be searched. They're lined up, and drug dogs, in famous cases, bark at them and start biting their gym bags. Remember Goose Creek, North Carolina? They're randomly searched. We're randomly searched at the airport in the name of security. It has nothing to do with that. It's all part of training you to be a slave, training you to go under their control.